If you want to get better at PGA Tour 2K23, you need to know how to set up your archetype, skills, clubs and fittings. And that is why in this video, I'm going to show you the best build for success in PGA Tour 2K23. As a player on the TGC Tour's professional leagues with a world ranking of inside the top 350, what makes me the right person to help you get better at PGA Tour 2K23 is that I'm not the best. I am just like you, but with how I've set up my player and the secrets of the short game that I've learned, I'm able to compete at the highest level. And so can you. Like most players, I don't hit perfect shots all the time, whether it be swing path or swing timing. But I love playing this game and I wanted to get better at it. I tried holding the controller in weird ways in order to swing straighter and with better timing, but nothing really seemed to help. To be honest, I was close to giving up on the competitive leagues when I hit on this build and started my rise to the top. And to understand the build, we need to start with my golf bag, which I've broken down into 4 sections. For my driver and 3-wood, the emphasis is on power. Bringing par 5s and short par 4s into range dramatically improved my scoring, leading to almost guaranteed birdies and the occasional eagle. But that is not the most important part of the build. This is the part to really take note of. 6-iron to pitching wedge are my most used clubs when hitting to the green, and it was here that I felt I was losing too many shots on the competition. What I did was, rather than trying to always hit a perfect shot, I reduced the impact of hitting imperfect shots. You can see what I've done by looking at the stats on these clubs. What should jump out to you is that I've nearly maxed out timing, followed by swing path, lie range, and then transition. To understand why I've done this, we need to look at what these stats do to the ball flight. Timing reduces the impact of hooks and slices by increasing the grey bar on the swing timer. A high timing stat will reduce how much the ball moves in the air for small draws and fades, leading to an overall straighter shot, which turned my missed greens into 20-foot birdie putts. Swing path increases the size of the vertical grey bar on the swing meter, reducing the impact of pulls and pushes and again straightening the ball flight. Now you might be wondering why I haven't maxed this stat out. Well, stick with me because there is a very important reason why I have set the clubs up like this. Now the other stat that impacts the ball flight is transition. Transition does 2 things. Firstly, it increases the window at the top of the swing for partial shots, making it easier to hit the right power, which is why I've put more emphasis on this stat on my wedges, where I'm hitting partial shots into and around the green. The other thing that transition does is that it increases the size of the perfect shot bar on the swing timing, so why not pump this to the max to make it easier to hit perfect shots? Well, the reason I haven't done this is that on master difficulty, the increase in the perfect shot bar is fucking minuscule, so the points are better spent elsewhere. The final stat I put some points into is lie range, which reduces the percentage spread when you go into the rough. This makes shots from the rough more predictable, so I can still hit greens even from a wayward drive. The last section of my bag is the hybrid and long irons, for which I've gone for stats somewhere between the woods and the mid irons. And the reason for this is so that my clubs have the right intervals on yardage. 25 to 30 yards between the longer clubs, 11 to 12 yards between the 4-iron to pitching wedge, and 13 yards between the wedges. This means I can avoid partial shots as much as possible by using loft and spin to bridge any yardage gap. So here are the stats on every club, and these are the fittings that I've used to get there. Along with the rhythm archetype. This is a good archetype to start with due to having both high timing and swing path, and also pretty solid putting stats. I said earlier that I hadn't maxed out my swing path stats, and the reason for this can be seen in my skills, and in particular the final column. The way the final column works is that if you put 1 point into a skill there, it buffs the transition stat, 2 points buffs your swing path, and 3 points your timing. It isn't a cumulative thing. Putting 3 points just improves your timing stat, and not all 3. I put 2 points into each of these skills, which is what allowed me to set up my clubs with a slightly lower swing path stat. This also gives me 5 additional skill points to use over going for timing. So what did I put all of my points into? Well, I'm not keen on putting points into negative skills. What I mean by this are skills that are only activated when you're playing very badly, or are deactivated if you're playing normally. Off-grid is a great example of this, where you have to miss multiple fairways to activate it, and it's deactivated by just hitting greens, something you should be doing 80% of the time. But to unlock each column, you do need to put points into earlier columns. So to unlock the fourth column, you need to put 15 points into skills in any of the first 3 columns, which means we do have to pick some mediocre skills at the start. For the first column, I put points into Trailblazer, which, while it is a negative skill, it does at least help with very tight driving courses, and Gusto, which is not a bad skill as it is easily activated. From the second column, I've gone for Spin Class, which I like because it is a positive skill. Hit fairways and greens and it will always be up for when you have that hybrid shot into a par 5. Short stuff is also a positive skill that is very easy to activate, and as long as you can keep weaving birdies in with pars, will always be up. By taking these 4 skills in full, I only need to take 1 skill from the third column, which is good because they're all fucking rubbish. Pathfinder is the best of a bad bunch. The fourth column has some bangers. Human Metronome is a great positive skill, with good swings making it easier to make even more good swings. Too Breezy is similar to Gusto, with an easy activation making it great for tough conditions. Dialed In rewards good shots with a timing boost on chip shots, and once it is up, it is likely to stay up, and goal weight is similar to Short Stuff. The fifth column is not that great, so I've just taken Aerodynamics, which is in the same vein as Too Breezy and Gusto. And from the sixth column, I have picked up Tea and Crush It, which is a very nice boost to your drives and so easy to activate, along with Momentum and Migration for even more of a swing path boost. The final thing to mention is the final skill in the final column. Whatever you do not pick up roll. The last thing you need is to make the ball roll further on fast greens. Putt weight is a much better choice, particularly when trying to lag those nasty downhill putts. This build has helped me compete in the PGA Tour's professional leagues, and I know it will help you shoot low scores consistently.